Prologue. Reunion. It was just a mirror, but when Paul looked into it, a bat-like monster glared back at him with blood-red, goat-slitted eyes. It screamed out a cry from hell, exposing a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. Then it reached out, its arm extending from the glass like the smooth surface of a still pond. It tried to seize him with a clawed hand, talons the length of his fingers grasping for his throat. And though it couldn't reach him, and he wanted to run screaming like a child, he stood paralyzed, unable to utter a word or move a muscle. Looking into its eyes had been a mistake, he now realized, for he felt an overwhelming compulsion to come to the monster, to step within its grasp and embrace it. It loved him, cherished him, like no one else had since Suzanna. All he needed to do was return that love, just walk toward the mirror and lose himself in its desire. He was about to do so when something inside him snapped, and he came to his senses. The vision in the mirror was a monster from hell, not a lover. He lifted a foot to backstep away from it, but the foot stepped forward of its own volition, and in the monster's eyes he saw greedy satisfaction, the joyful knowledge that it would have him, that it would devour him. He was powerless to defy it. Little by little he advanced across the room, each step an agonizing struggle, each step a failure as it drew him closer, a puppet ruled by the strings of those blood-red eyes. Then suddenly he was within its grasp, and the hand gripped his throat. It dug razor-sharp talons into his larynx and pulled him toward the mirror. He thought his face would smash against the glass, but when his cheek touched the surface, his head sank into it. And as he was drawn into the realm that spawned the monster, he screamed. Paul slammed awake and sat up in bed. "Fucking dream!" he growled, gasping for air, beads of sweat rolling down his cheek. He switched on the light next to his bed and snarled, "Just a fucking dream!" He told himself that, time and again, every time he woke from that nightmare. Just a dream. He knew this evil, this darkness that stalked him inside the mirror, and a piece of him feared he might be this evil, that it was some darkness in his own soul that stalked him. After all, the monster in his dream was his own reflection. "Just a dream," he said. "Just a dream." Suzanna's ghost walked into the room. "But it wasn't a dream," she said. "It's waiting for you, Polly boy, and I don't think you can escape it." Paul sat at the kitchen table watching Suzanna bustling about preparing dinner. It was his favorite time of day, to sit there at the end of the day with a glass of wine and chat with her while she put the finishing touches on their meal. It had been his favorite time of day back when she was alive, and he was so happy she'd come back to him, even if only as a ghostly specter. Cloe bounced into the kitchen in her school uniform. Well, like Suzanna, it wasn't really Cloe, just Chloe's ghost. "Can I help with dinner?" Suzanna looked over her shoulder and winked at Paul as she said, "Not until you finish your homework." "Oh, please, Mommy, please, please, please. I hate homework. Homework's so boring." Paul decided to intervene. "Sorry, Munchkin. It's the rule. Homework before you get to help with dinner." Cloe skipped across the kitchen and stopped just a foot or so short of Paul. The real Cloe, the living Cloe, would have jumped into his lap, but they both knew that wouldn't work for this Cloe. "Daddy, homework's too hard." Suzanna turned toward them, a plate of steaming food in each hand. "Well, since dinner's ready anyway, sweetheart, tonight you get a reprieve."